it's kind of funny though too is the adoption agency that we ended up going with. The woman who was our worker, our assigned caseworker, she said that she hadn't dealt with a lesbian couple adopting, and it's sometimes unusual to have lesbians who adopt because a lot of people think, well, it's two women, one of them can have the child. And so I love when I'm, out. Charlotte is 19 months now, and, the way society works now, oh, don't worry, you'll drop the baby weight soon. And it's interesting. But there's an overwhelming disparity between gay men adopting to gay women adopting. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty interesting also, because if you think about it, that's a huge segment of society that they can't have the child on their own without another party. And I think about it, I'm like, that right there is kind of the reason I think, government tries to step in to legislate. Women are very powerful. Just having our bodies is a very powerful experience. And it can, it's always going to be a sign of oppression, I think, for us. And that's why we have to stand up. And there are going to be, I was listening to your show earlier, there's a lot of people who can't stand up for just so many different reasons. Mm-hmm. But the people who are willing to put themselves out there, despite the violent tendencies of society, we try to stand strong because, right. There are other people who can't do that for themselves. Mm-hmm. So,
now,
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. We want to hear about you. You don't want to hear about me.
I was going to say, too. I was going to let Heather kind of share, too, how we decided we were going to get married. Did you want to tell them about that?
No. Please go ahead and tell me.
Aww.
I'll tell the story. So, it was, to be honest with you, it wasn't something that was something that we really wanted or really needed, I guess I should say, because we both had been married before, and we were just happy being us and traveling and doing our thing. And a friend of ours is the biological mother, and we really had kind of cut ties with her, and we just. We kind of went our separate ways for a while, and then after about 9 months, she kind of started, blowing up our phones and, begging to come over, just meet me, hear me out, whatever. And finally, we answered the phone one day and said, what is it that you need? And she said, just meet me. Just give me 10, 15 minutes. Let me say what I have to say. If not, I'll move on. And so Jennifer went and met her, and I went to work that night. And so, I'm waiting for a phone call to get, from them after their meeting, to see what's going on. And finally, Jennifer calls and says, there's something really big that we need to talk about. And I was like, okay, well, what is it? Because I'm not getting home until 3:00 in the morning. So, what is it? Well, we'll just talk about it when you get home. Okay, well, that's like 5 more hours still. So long story short is, so I come home and, she's up at 3:00 in the morning. She's like, hi, babe, good morning. And I'm all, oh, God, good morning. Like, she was all excited. And I just was like, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Like, why are you in such a good mood and why are you awake? And she's like, well, sit down on the bed. Let me talk to you. Okay. So I sit down next to her on the bed and I'm like, what's going on? And now I'm concerned because I'm like, something just, was kind of really odd that she's awake at 3:00 in the morning and very excited. And so she said, our friend had, walked in and, she's like 5'2", 5'3", and she's probably a size 0, maybe a size 1, if that, and has a big old belly and is pregnant. And she's due in 3 weeks. okay, so what does that have to do for us? What is that about? Well, she wants to know if we want to adopt the baby because, you know, she it's just not the right time in her life. Okay, let's do it. That was my response to her, and she was like, yeah. And I was like, so, like, how serious is this? Like, is this something really serious? Because, you know, 3 weeks until the baby's due. And she was like, yeah, you know, 3 weeks, so we got a lot to do. Okay. And she's like, well, do you want to think about it? Like sleep on it tonight, and we can talk about it when you wake up tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I'm all, well, we'll adopt the baby. You know, we'll do it. And she was kind of like,
because the best decisions are always made at 3 a.m.
Right? No.
Not in this household.
This was the best. Right. So, you know, so I'm sitting there and, you know, we're just kind of talking and, you know, we're just, you know, just kind of like, okay, wow, well, like, where do we start? Like, what do we do? Like, we literally have 3 weeks to prepare. That's if she was to carry the baby to term. So then, you know, a few more minutes goes by and she goes, so, you know, I'm thinking that, you know, do you want to get married? And I just kind of was like, sure, why not? I mean, we're going to raise a child together. May as well.
Okay, now
so that's kind of how it happened.
And you guys actually got married at the adoption agency, right?
Actually, when we were in the adoption agency, adoption, even like the actual process is extremely financially burdening. But one of the things is that you pay an adoption agency the fees for the home visits and all the checks and everything. So it comes out to almost $5,000. And she said that gay couples are allowed to get married or allowed to adopt even if they're not married, and just the same as heterosexual couples can adopt without being married. However, you have to pay the fees twice. So that solidified how fast we got married. And I turned to Heather in the agency right there in the office, and I said, you want to get married? And she says, yes, I do. And said, all right, let's do it. And we ended up going down to the courthouse the next day, that Friday. It was really eerie because it was a Friday afternoon, and we went to go get the paperwork for the marriage license, and nobody was in the waiting room. It was kind of different. And the lady, she says, well, I can get you all the information. You can get your license and everything. She goes, but the judge took off early because it was slow and went golfing. And so we couldn't actually go before anybody downtown to actually get married, which ended up kind of being a great thing because we had our friend who's a Lutheran pastor actually do a flash mob wedding the following weekend. And so we were married 5 days prior to Charlotte being born.
Yeah, because she came early.
She came, yeah. We said we had 3 weeks. We were told we had 3 weeks to prepare for the baby, and we actually ended up having 2. So
when they decide it's time, they just pop right out. I mean, you just can't stop that.
Yeah. Heather was painting the nursery, and I told her, you know, I said, Stacy's headed towards the hospital, and she says, you tell her to put her legs in the air and just cross them.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way, honestly. I don't think that would. Yeah.
I did tell her it didn't work that way.
I know it doesn't work that way, but you know, it was a Thursday, and it was literally 1 week earlier than what she was supposed to be, and you know, I was gonna paint the room that day and install a ceiling fan, and you know, get everything, you know, ready. And lo and behold, that afternoon we were in a delivery room, and we both got to be there and kind of part of that birthing process. And
Heather got to cut the umbilical.
I got to cut the umbilical cord. And I mean, that's just amazing in itself. But yeah, so as grateful and as excited as I was, I got to stay for a few more hours at the hospital, and then in my mind, it kicked in, okay, she's coming home in like a day or two, and we have nothing ready. Like, I still have to go get the crib, and
Charlotte
we still got to go
flash
get
mob for like a week to give you guys a break. She could have just flash mobbed it.
Right? So it was a very chaotic, stressful time, because we're, we want to adopt, but we still hadn't been, approved, and this packet that you have to fill out, let me tell you, it is probably close to a half-inch thick.
Wow.
I mean, they ask us questions that I would never have thought that they would needed to know about our past or our childhood, like what was, just all these things about randomly things in our childhood and, how we thought of this or that. And it just, and I understand, we want to vet, we don't want just anybody to be able to adopt because unfortunately there are sick individuals out there, but at the same time, the process itself was a little...
It was very, very lengthy.
Yeah, very lengthy. And
yes.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Well, does it kind of seem like discrimination that you have to go through all that when, like, regular, and when I say regular, I mean hetero couples can basically be on crack and have sex at an Eric Clapton concert and have a baby, and that's okay. They know how to raise it, but you guys have to have like a separate set of fucking rules and criteria just because of your sexual orientation. I mean, to me, that's just beyond fucked up.
Wow, you used the F word.
Yeah, right.
Three sentences there.
Yeah. And
sorry, but it gets
we
me
did have to
fired up.
Well, we appreciate that it gets you fired up.
We need fired up. Fired up is good. But
Thank you.
Like you had to get doctors' information, like like making sure you were in good health, and there were a lot of things that went into it. We had a very because we did it a little bit in reverse, some of the actual really hard trials and tribulations from what we've heard from other people who are gay who have adopted was they started the certification process first and then they sought out to adopt. And that's where it comes in, is if you don't have somebody willing to, give up the rights to their child to a gay couple or a private adoption. They're very terribly tough. They're expensive. They're exploiting. Because I've heard just stories of paying for medical and housing and things, and then at the last minute, of course, a woman can change her mind, but it seems to be that the gay community can be preyed upon pretty hard because of that. So we kind of did it a little bit in reverse. So we had to go through a whole guardianship of prior to actually doing a formal adoption. And I do have to say that the lawyer that we hired, she was fabulous. The judge who granted us our guardianship asked us to please come back when the entire certification and everything was done, to come back because she would love to finalize our adoption. And that was pretty great feeling, having a judge in a Arizona court be so open and kind and have such nice words for, a lesbian couple. And when your lawyer is worried about which judge we're going to go in front of, that's unsettling. It's really unnerving that you have to hope that you get a judge that doesn't hate you just because of whatever construed version of God that they have that says that they have to hate people. So, we got some pretty lucky moments through all of this, and pretty fortunate, I think.
And since the adoption and everything, how's things been? I mean, how have you guys dealt with all the things of being parents? I mean, there's no manual, obviously, on how to